Hello everyone and welcome to Ben Networking. In today's video, I am very excited to be starting a new series where I'm going to be going 30 days straight, not including the weekends, where I'm going to be configuring and doing different labs using my Juniper networking equipment. I'm very excited to document my learning process and just share with you guys as well as learn with you guys. I know it's a lot of people out there that have a lot of networking experience that have subscribed and also watched these videos. So if you have any video recommendations, feel free to drop them down in the comments. But I started doing Juniper networking around 6 months ago. I do have a good amount of knowledge when it comes to Cisco. And 6 months ago, I started working with Juniper, and it has been nothing short of fantastic. In this video, though, we're going to be implementing InterVlan routing on this switch right here. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first thing first, of course, let's go ahead and give this switch some power. Yep. And also, let's go ahead and plug in our console cable into the console port. I'm going to wait till this device fully boots and I'll be back to you guys. So while my switch is booting, I am going to give you guys kind of a layout of the lab and then we're going to get straight into it. So I do have two laptops. I have my MacBook and I also have my other Windows laptop over there. And we're going to be putting both of these devices on two different VLANs. And we usually see this type of implementation in our enterprise networks. We usually are going to separate our IT department from our finance, or we're going to separate our voice from our data VLAN. And voice and data is a great example because voice is very sensitive to latency and jitter. So we want to bring that down as much as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to do QoS for our voice VLAN so it gets prioritized more over our data. If we're on a phone call, we have a lot of latency or jitter. It really messes it up. You will hear people going in and out. So that is why you want to separate your different VLANs. It also brings down network bandwidth. As we know, when broadcasts are sent on the network, everybody in that VLAN is going to receive that broadcast. But if we separate different devices within different VLANs, then only the people within that VLAN is going to receive that broadcast that is sent. So that brings down network bandwidth as well as segments our network for security reasons. And also we can prioritize different traffic over others. So these are some of the benefits that VLANs offer us. So before we started seeing layer 3 switches, routers were the device that allowed devices from one VLAN to be able to communicate with another VLAN. But since we have layer 3 switches now, they are able to route traffic from one another. So if you're coming from a Cisco background, you've probably heard of an SVI or a switch virtual interface that allows VLANs from one VLAN to be able to communicate with another. And on this lab, we're going to be configuring what Juniper calls IRBs, or integrated routing and bridging. So IRBs and SVIs are the same thing. It's just one vendor uses one name and the other vendor uses the other. So what we're going to be doing is I am going to be putting this computer over here on VLAN 20, and I'm going to be putting this computer right here on VLAN 10, and then we're going to create IRBs on our switch to allow both of these computers to be able to communicate with each other. So let's go ahead and get into our lab. All right, so our device is up and booted. So the first thing we're going to do is log into our device, and I should have started out with a more simple video, probably of how to create a user on Juniper. But like I said, we're going 30 days straight with this, so I do have a video idea right there that I can use for the future. So this device just booted, so I put in my username and it's taking a little bit, so the daemons or whatever on the Juniper device are probably still trying to boot, get itself together. But just go and put in the password, and there we go. So our Juniper device is now up, and as we can see, we are in operational mode. So let's go ahead and go into configure mode or edit mode. And the first thing that we're going to do is put our VLANs on this device. So I probably should have did a show VLANs first, but we're in operational mode. So let's just put a run in front of that. Let's do a run show VLANs to see our VLANs on this device. And as we can see, we only have the default VLAN in our switch. So the first thing first, let's go ahead and create VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. So to create VLAN 10, we're going to do a set VLANs, VLAN 10, and we're going to do a VLAN ID of 10. And then let's do a set VLANs, VLAN 20, VLAN ID of 20, and hit enter there. So now, if we do a commit and quit, let's do a commit and quit, so we can commit these changes that we just did, which was create the VLAN of VLAN 10, that is the name, and then the VLAN of VLAN 20, that is the other name. And then we're doing a commit and quit, so we can make these changes on the switch, and then going back into operational mode. So we're in configure mode by the little pound, and after this commit is done, we're going to be back in operational mode with the caret. So yep, that's where I want to be. So I want to do a show VLANs to make sure that our VLANs were created, and they are. So as we can see, we have both of our VLANs created right here. So now that we have our VLANs created, we can see that we only have one port that is associated with each VLAN, and that is the gigabit 000. So the ports that we're going to be using on this switch is port 2 and port 22. So I want to put port 2 into VLAN 10 and port 22 into VLAN 20. So port 2 on this switch right here, as we know, Juniper starts with 0 instead of 1. So this port right here is 0, 1. This one up here is 2. So we're going to be using port 2, and port 22 is all the way over at the top. So that is where we're going to be plugging in both of our PCs. So the next step that we have to do is put our actual interfaces, which is port 2 and port 22, inside of our VLANs as access ports. So let's go ahead and do a set interfaces. Let's do a, I'm in operational mode. I might want to go into configure mode. All right, let's do a set interfaces GE 002 unit 0 family Ethernet switching, because we're doing layer 2 ports. So that is how we do layer 2 ports. We do Ethernet switching, and we're going to do port mode as access. And the VLAN that we want it to be in is VLAN member 10. So basically what we're doing is we're putting the 002 port into VLAN 10 as an access port. So hit enter there. And we're going to do a similar configuration for 0022. So let's do a set interfaces GE 00/22 unit 0 family Ethernet switching, because this is also going to be a layer 2 port. And we want to do port mode as access, and we want to do VLAN members 20 for this port. All right, now let's do a commit and quit again. Commit and quit. And we're going to do a show VLANs again, and now we should see both of those ports being associated with, respectively, GE0002 should be in VLAN 10, and GE0022 should be a part of VLAN 20. So let's give it some time and see what it does. All right, so let's do a show VLANs again. And now we can see that we have the desired configuration that we were just explaining. So that looks good. GE002 is in VLAN 10, and GE0022 is in VLAN 20. Perfect. So our next step is going ahead and configuring our IRBs with IP addresses. So basically an IRB is a virtual interface that is going to be on within our VLAN, and that is what is going to allow us to route from one VLAN to the other VLAN. So let's go ahead and type edit to go into configuration mode, and let's go ahead and do a set interfaces IRB unit 10 family INET, and the address that we're going to put on this IRB interface is 192.168.4.10/24. And we're going to do a similar IRB configuration for our IRB 20. So let's do a set interfaces IRB unit 20 family INET address, and this is going to be 192.168.4.10/24. Oh, 4.3. Glad I caught that. 4.3.10. No, 192.168.3.10/24. Sorry about that. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to also set our VLANs with IP addresses. So let's do a set interfaces VLAN unit 10 family INET with an IP address of 192.168.4.1/24. And oops, I forgot to put address. Perfect. Let's do a set interfaces VLAN unit 20 family INET address of 192.168.3.1/24. And I have a typo right here. I didn't put the /24. I just put a slash. So let's hit the up arrow. Oh, maybe it did take. I'm just going to hit that again. Let's do a show pipe compare just to see what we got. Show pipe compare. Okay, yep. So we got our IRBs configured, and we have our VLANs configured, and that looks good. Okay, so let's do a commit to allow these to take place. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to configure routable layer 3 interfaces for our VLANs. So if I go into edit VLANs right now and I do a show, we do not have the layer 3 interface configured for our IRBs in both of these VLANs. So if we tried to route between the VLANs, it would not work. So what we need to do is create those routable layer 3 interfaces. So to do that, we'll do a set VLAN 10. Oh, VLAN 10. Okay. Set VLANs, VLAN 10. What am I doing wrong? I'm getting the syntax here. Oh, I'm in edit VLANs hierarchy. So let me go out. Let me go exit. Okay, there we go. So let's do a set VLAN 10 layer 3 interface VLAN 10. Okay. Oops. Did something else wrong. Layer 3 interface VLAN dot 10. That's it. And then set VLANs VLAN 20 layer 3 interface VLAN dot 20. Perfect. Now let's do a commit and quit. Well, let's do it. Let's just do a commit. Now if I go back into the edit VLANs and I do a show, we can see that our layer 3 routed interfaces are now within our VLANs. So that is great. So now let's go ahead and configure IP addresses on both of our PCs and see if we can do InterVlan routing. So let's start out on our MSI Windows computer. So we're going to configure an IP address on our MSI computer. Let's do an IP address of 192.168.3.5 for the computer's IP address, and we're going to do a /24-bit subnet mask, so 255.255.255.0, and a default gateway of 192.168.3.1 for our gateway. And let's hit save. So I went on my Mac and done basically the same thing, but I have put this one in the other VLAN. So this one has an IP address of 192.168.4.1 4.2, a /24-bit subnet mask, and the router IP is also going to be within its subnet, which is 192.168.4.1. So these are the IRB interfaces that we configured on the switch. So let's go ahead and hit OK there and hop back onto our laptop. So I have my PC's command prompt pulled up right now. So let's do a ping to 192.168.4.2. And we are getting replies from the MacBook. So that is a lab right there on configuring InterVlan routing from one VLAN to the other using IRBs using my Juniper EX 3300 switch. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one.